And we are live. Welcome to another episode of Scoutcast. My name is Rolf Suit and I'll be your host. So there's something going on in your personal life that's starting to impact your work. You can have financial issues maybe, taking care of a sick parent, you're fighting with your significant other, maybe your child is having some problem at school. Whatever your issue is, you're having trouble containing it and now it's starting to affect your performance at work. I think we've all been there, right? Shit happening in the house with the wife, with the husband. And you lash out at some colleague or, screw something up at a customer. And, and the other way around also works that way, right? When something at work doesn't really go your way, then sometimes you're not the happiest person in the household. So that's today's topic. And with me, I have three guests who have probably a lot of these stories to share with you guys today. So Sylvester, Arno, and Henrique, welcome to the podcast again.
Hey, man.
Hey.
So to kick it off right off the bat, I don't know, Arno, you said that you have like a million of these examples. So
and you're in our office, not at home. So
and you're in the office, you're not at home. What's going on? But So what personal life influences did you have on your work, or the other way around?
Well, I actually have quite a few, from bad to okay-ish, but the easiest one to start with is indeed the office. Thanks to Corona, we should all work at home. But my wife works as well. We have one good place to sit, and that's it. So either I have RSE or I go to the office.
Yeah.
So that's where the influence.
So you don't have like any agreements, like 50-50 split?
Well, it depends a bit on the situation, I guess.
Or you're the gentleman?
Well, sometimes he's allowed to go to the office as well. Then I'm at home, or, well, it also depends if the kids are at home.
Yeah.
That might influence a little bit.
But that's a practical thing, right? It's like it's pretty mundane, if you ask me.
But it influences either way.
That's for sure. Yeah, you have to synchronize that stuff up. You gotta check your schedule, try to fit it in with the kids' school times and everything, I suppose.
And fight for it sometimes. Yeah.
That's a challenge.
That's a normal thing. That fighting stuff about who does what with the kids when.
Of course.
Okay.
Are you going to deny it?
No, I was just wondering whether everyone had it.
Yeah, but you're right. It's a practical one, but I have more examples. But I was wondering what the rest of the guests have.
Yeah.
Let's start with the practical ones.
Yeah.
I think you just evaded the problem, but it's
that
okay.
wasn't a very deep answer. Something's up here.
I just want to build up, man. I want to build up.
It's like an onion, right? We're going to peel away the layers one at a time.
Exactly.
I think it has to do with this current location. There's a reason for this. I'm not sure.
I think it's a fear that she's going to listen to it. Okay, but then I will kick it off with more like the deeper side of it. It definitely, I think the past 2 years I had the most influence from my personal life to work in a negative side and positive as well from the same problem. So I think I mentioned in a few other episodes that I've been going through a divorce. Well, now it's finalized. And I didn't per se want to have a kid, but then, well, I have one now, and he has two. And I think that definitely impacted quite a lot the way how I was, like my energy with work, right? And how I would actually deal with people, how I would actually have the patience to have discussions. And I think it was a very the negative side of it. I just didn't have the energy anymore to try to listen to people. And it's quite important on our line of work.
Exactly. And what was the biggest negative issue that you came across? Like, are there any like instant drawbacks that you've experienced, or was it more like people just thought you were being annoying, or did you actually get into fights with people or whatever over it?
Yeah, I actually got into once. I was actually sharing a little bit how I felt, about this story that I didn't want to have a kid, and my kid was going to born and everything. And I remember I was lunch with the colleagues from the customer side, and basically a guy who was actually having a hard time of getting pregnant with his wife. And then he basically looked at me and they're like, you are just very annoying and you just keep whining. If you didn't want to have a kid, why did you have a kid? And then somehow maybe the circumstance and the combination made it very bad. But then it kind of became a bit negative, you know, like
Yeah, but it's interesting.
the vibe, and I did
Because like that's interesting, right? Because his personal life, you know, he's maybe having trouble getting pregnant, which I think a lot of people might experience. But then, you know, it also affects his working life. And then I guess it's like the perfect storm, right? These two guys having that was a big cough.
Yeah,
there,
exactly.
Arno.
And I think
Sorry.
because of that combination, like of his work being, his work life being influenced by his personal life and mine, it did not made a nice combination. Not at all.
Okay. All right. What about you, Sylvester?
Well, I think there's lots of little examples that we all talk about when we actually get in the office. Say, did you fight as well? Right? The usual stuff, I think. The most recent example for me, I think, was when my dad passed away. Right?
Yeah.
That kind of like distracted the shit out of me. Not distracted. You're just not in the right place or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the hardest thing for me. And
I mean, distraction is definitely one of the effects, right? When your private life is taking over.
Yeah,
terms of,
well,
like,
it's
attention.
distraction and little energy, and work becoming, less important for a while, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And not having any energy to actually do things. I think that was, for me, a tough stretch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so.
Do you
Yeah,
have
of
one?
course, man. I have one. So my personal life is sometimes affecting work, for sure. I do try to, how do you say, balance it out, like keep the work-life balance there by trying to be real strict about, you know, not working in weekends or working at nights and stuff like that. But sometimes I do feel that, work is demanding a lot from me, and then the family life is demanding a lot from me as well. And then sometimes it's like, well, what about me, right? Sometimes I just want to have some time for myself and just do whatever I want to do without actually having to, explain it or convince someone that I should be able to do it. And sometimes it can feel a bit frustrating for me. And
I think every man understands you.
Yes.
yeah, probably.
With kids, yes.
So that's why maybe I spend a lot of time in the toilet, right, with the door closed. Then, sorry, but like another example is which is a bit more lighthearted, I guess, like because personal life can also be like social media accounts, right? And then like I think at almost every customer I've been at, like these guys, like I mean, they're gonna Google you and then they're gonna find like old Twitter pictures or old Facebook pictures, and then I used to be a rapper and stuff, right? And then they always come across the picture of me with like my hat turned back and being all cool and shit. So that's also an example of when my personal life, what I did when I was younger, actually kind of influences work in a sometimes funny way as well. So I guess there's both sides of the medal. It can also be good, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I think an important thing here is the work-life balance, right? I mean, it describes the ideal situation in which an employee can split his or her time between work and home. And I think what's nice about our company at Four Scouts is that the work-life balance is actually something we have in the core values, right? And
and it's something that you decide yourself, right? Nobody's dictating what is your work and life. It's yourself making it up. Like nobody told you, Rolf, don't work on the weekends, right? And like. Is your choice. I think that's more the point.
Yeah, for me, that all started with a book from Ricardo Semler, or some quote of him. I think it was something along the lines of that he actually said, you see a lot of people working very hard their whole life, so they get rich, and then they go have a pension, right? But then they can't do all the fun stuff anymore for which they needed the money in the first place. So why not do it your whole life and just be happy?
Yeah.
And I kind of believe in that concept, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So,
although I have to say, if I look at my own work-life balance, especially currently, I'm having lots of discussions. I just actually had the one downstairs, right? Yeah, are we going to pick up the youngest one with the bike with the whole family? I said, well, maybe after the podcast.
That I also find interesting that you sometimes go down to the office. I don't think now during COVID, but before it, and you sometimes just brought your kids.
Yeah.
And so for you, work and family, like it all kind of intermingles. I guess it's also because Four Scouts is your company, and you might even regard it as one of your other children. I don't know, but it definitely sometimes seems to me.
I'm the pretty one of his kids.
No, like not us, of course, but like the company itself, man. But like sometimes it feels to me that, for you, it all kind of meshes together, right? As one big cloud.
But that's actually what I like, right? And I've also walked into the office, then Anna was there with his kids, and sometimes also his wife. I think that's cool. That's what a work should be, right? Yes, of course you have your family, but why hide that away?
So
She actually asked again. She asked again to come to the office a few times again.
Yeah, so for the people who now think that Four Scouts is a daycare company, we're not, right? We're doing something else.
Most of the time, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I've also been there in the weekends, right? We also have that mini Tesla thing, and the kids love it.
Yeah.
Although it crashes into a lot of things, but it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, I think that's important, right? You just have this place or work or a company. It doesn't have to be the separate thing.
Yeah.
So and it's everyone's choice, but yeah.
This might be a bit too personal, right? But like, did you ever?
Because I'm scared.
Okay, because I can imagine you bring the company home, right? I mean, yeah, you are the company basically. So do you sometimes get into fights with your wife about, I don't know, working too much or making, going to bed too late because you're in a laptop working on something like where it actually affects and impacts your marriage life?
Of course. Well, yeah, one example I can give you right now is that my wife is following this course, basically, right? And she needs time for that as well.
Yeah.
But then the thing is...
Does she get it?
Not per se from me, and I am really annoyed with that, but I also don't feel that I'm currently in a spot where I can say, well, man, I'll take a few days off and everything will be fine, right? I need to arrange things. And then the weird thing with my role, I think, is that always something pops up. So it's very difficult. Yeah. And if I'm with the children, and actually, well, I had an example of that this week. There's lots of examples this time. So I'm driving in the car, right, and someone calls, and it's on my headset. But it was one of those discussions, kind of like a heavy discussion. But you don't necessarily want that to have near your kids.
Right.
And if I'm with my kids, I would actually also like to pay attention to them. So it's a bit difficult. But especially her education currently for my wife, that's a tough spot.
Yeah.
And I try to clear my schedule here and there, but it's not going as
planned.
It's smooth.
No. So we have discussions about that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, right. So for you, it swings both ways, right? Your personal life affects your work, and your work affects your personal life probably even more.
Yeah, well, I think it's the same for everyone. Work also affects you guys at home, right?
Yeah.
If you have an assignment or something, or you get energized by whatever you're doing at the company, you go home energized, right? We also said that. It's one of the goals of Four Scouts, that we want to influence people on their work, so they also go home happier, feeling more, motivated.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I think it's the same for everyone, and not per se for me. I know I make long hours, but then on the other hand, last night I was also working with Ahik on a presentation, right? Modern software development, more to follow next month, I heard. But
well, marketing hard at work here.
Yeah. I learned stuff. For me, it's become normal. I'm not sure if it's healthy, but I kind of like it.
Okay.
No, but I think there's this work-life balance is a bit of. I think a lot of people say I want to work for a company with work-life balance, but I think that's a choice. Yeah. I think you claim that time for yourself. You choose to do what you want to do, and some people want to have this very from Monday to Friday I do work, and I think and Saturday to Sunday I do nothing, and some other basically spread it around. So I don't think there is a one size fits all, and
it's very personal.
It's very personal, and I think for me, basically, I think it definitely falls in this category that I have. If I am having a pleasant week at work, I tend to work more. Yeah. If I have a horrible week, I tend to work less.
Yeah. Well, and so I don't know, Sylvester, did you want to say anything, or?
Well, I think that should actually be normal, right? What Annick just said. Yeah. If you have a horrible week, please go home or something. What's the point? Then you're there being unhappy.
But I mean, you might find it, but there are also companies who just say like, well, you have your working hours, and you gotta get the output there, So and that was the question that I was going to ask you, Sylvester. Like, do you think it's also? I mean, it's partly responsibility of the employee, I guess, to maintain a healthy work-life balance in order to not let the stuff get out of hand. But do you think that companies can do more in order to facilitate this kind of stuff, like I don't know, company-sponsored family events, just to de-stress and relax and You
I'm
know?
not sure about that. I'm not sure how far a company should go. I still have this dream of I want daycares, I want schools, everything should be in the company, but that's a different story, a different podcast maybe.
So you want a village, basically.
Could work. Yeah,
I
let's
d-
think
well,
about that. But
I don't want my kids that close all the time, you know? I need some distance.
so a city. But anyway, can a company do more? No, I think you need to be more relaxed about when people are supposed to be working. I don't think it really matters, right? We all know what the company is trying to achieve. And it's about the actual results. I don't care about the rest. I don't care when you're there or when you're working or not, as long as there are results.
Yeah.
But then the other side of that is that, right, we also have this rule of, okay, we don't measure holidays and stuff. And I think that kind of backfires when you're in a stressful situation. People don't take holidays anymore. Also not helpful.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a thing a company could do. And I've seen more examples of that. That companies actually say this is the minimum you're required to take.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
But I see that we are deviating from the topic because I still haven't heard from Arno how his personal
Ooh,
life
sneaky.
influences his
It's
work.
actually quite a lot.
It's a nice bridge right there.
I'm not sure if it's a bridge or just in my face, but I actually have multiple stories. I got like how it affected pretty negative. I can go down that path if you want.
No, then let's go to the positive,
positive
ones.
ones.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's actually kind of hard. No, I think the positive ones is the actual flexibility of Four Scouts, because I have 3 young kids, and I need it. I really need the flexibility. You know, every day we get up, but the kids, they have to go to school. You have to pick them up, and if you're too late when you pick them up, they're going to be horrible people. So yeah, sometimes you're a bit earlier, sometimes you're a bit later. Depends on the day, and I think that helps me a lot in the personal life, anyways.
Yeah.
I think that's yeah.
I can recognize that. I also have this problem with, I'm calling it my biorhythm, right? I'm not sure if that's the right term, but I hate having to do stuff at a certain time every freaking day. So that stand-up of ours at 9, that's a challenge.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit more structured than that. I think I put a pretty brutal routine in our family. I think that helps me, anyways.
And I still feel that you are talking very superficial about practical things.
Because it usually is practical, right? Most things are practical.
No, I don't think so. I don't know, like so.
Oh, you want my deep
story?
story? It's also fine. I got a few.
You keep saying
Okay.
that you had a few, but we haven't.
Okay, so let's
listened
go.
to them.
I think I tell you the one where it affected my work the most, right? I think I was 28, and you guys know, but my father had lung cancer for like 2 years, and in the meanwhile, I was working. I also had like a part-time study, HBO, bachelor, I think in English, and in the meanwhile, I was also getting married. So, well,
Yeah. it's a
most
few
guys
things,
here,
yeah.
most guys
A lot of life-changing events.
in like a single time, yeah. And well, you have to prepare marriage, right? And you do that in between, while going to the hospital, while studying or whatever,
And working.
working.
Yep.
Yeah. So I got married. I think in April. I don't think I know in April. just
What
just
day?
for
What
the
day?
record. 1 sec. The 20th.
Oh, you got 3 more weeks to get a present then.
Oei, let's add it to do
And,
for you.
and 1 month later, my father died.
Did
So he was
Did he manage to attend the wedding, or was he too
partially,
sick?
yeah, partially.
Oh, okay. Well.
So that actually, after he died, that totally kicked me down. Like, I was done. I couldn't work anymore. I was like
but
off the charts. It's emotionally so unstable because you have the highs and the lows, and it goes like, and then I was done. I think I didn't work for 3 months. I couldn't do anything anymore.
But like you literally didn't go to the
No.
company or like
Nothing.
sick
Yeah,
leave?
sick leave, yeah.
or-
I was just done. That's it.
Yeah.
And I could barely keep up my study at that point.
Did you get any support from the company?
Yeah. I talked to the manager, and he was actually pretty understanding, more than expected. Yeah. Well, that's where you go, right? And you share some stories on stuff he lived. And it was pretty positive, and he was totally okay with it. He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that happens.
Yeah, because I think taking some time off, sick leave or holiday, in order to to get your mind right, I think is the best course of action, right? Because if you do decide to go to work, then it's going to be horrible for you, for your colleagues, for the customer, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
And that's what I also did. So now I'm growing in my second story. I think it was 7 years. Yeah, 7 years ago. I had a daughter, right? My first one. She's now 7, so I know the age. I don't have to look it up. And after 10 months...
It turns out she was 9, but okay, continue.
If we're going to publish this over 2 years, yes. So she was 10 months, I think, and she had her first epileptic seizure. And that totally freaked me out because I didn't know what it was, so I thought she was dying, like literally. So I called the ambulance, and then, well, you can think about what's happening. So not really a big thing. Well, it was a big thing, but not at the point. And yeah, but it happened for at least until she was 2, and like quite frequent, and you could just sense it, And that we were at the choice of giving her either, medication or not, and that was the choice we had. And the medication would be, I don't remember what it said, but one of the side effects was something like could severely change your character. My kid is 1 year old. I don't even know what her character is. So that was the choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we didn't give it, potential brain damage was also lurking. So if somebody has a seizure and goes longer in it than 5 minutes, then you might have an issue. Yeah. So we always walked around with morphine for quite some while. And that was pretty stressful, hindsight. So that definitely inflicted some stress on my work.
How did it?
And how did you deal with it? Like at work, it's like that generate a lot of.
You just explode sometimes, right? You just freak out, or you get a call where you don't know the number, and then you instantly go in some sort of panic mode, or the daycare calls, which also happens back then a few times. Like, you have to go right now, or the ambulance is here, and then you're like, what the fuck, man?
Did you share it with your colleagues at the time?
Yeah, they knew.
And so they were okay with it. They understood, like, oh man, this guy is going through some rough times now. So,
and that's the thing, right? It's a long time. It's like I think it took a year, right?
Yeah,
I'm a year in that situation. So I don't think everybody was that patient in the long run, and I get that. I think I get it. I'm not saying it's okay, but I understand.
Yeah, so there is basically a limit where people are quite empathic to your problems, but then at some point they also want their work to get done, and they want the productive to go up. And then I guess the question is, how long is enough, right? Or it is okay.
Yeah, and it actually increased to the pile because my second one was having the same issues.
Oh my God.
So also when he was about 10 months, and their difference is 1.5 years. So there was a moment that we had like 2 morphine things there to kick them down.
Damn.
You can't imagine.
So are you more understanding for other people saying like, lashing out at work and then saying like, I'm just going through some rough times now?
I get that.
Do you give these people a pass, or is it like, don't be?
It depends, man. Because there's also situations where people say, my cat died, and they have like a 3 months issue on it, and I cannot cope.
Right.
I have a really hard time with that.
It's all relative,
I can understand that too.
It's relative, right? It's like, okay, I get it. If you experience nothing in life, but for me to listen to it, it's something else.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can listen. You don't have to listen to, but like, do you give it a break? Like, okay, sure, you are not being productive today. I'm not gonna say anything. Or
I give them a break. I just don't understand it. I think that's my biggest issue.
Yeah, that's okay.
So you don't go asking about their cat, or?
I don't think I can go deep on it. No, I think that's I'm too damaged for that, I guess. I don't know if damage is the correct word, but
Yep.
Actually, there might be a question for you guys.
No,
Because I tend to ask questions, right? Or at least try to when people are facing things. But I'm also wondering, how far can a company go, right? If I'm the company in this case. So when is it too personal? When should I back off?
I think a company, it depends. I mean, company, right? There's no such a thing as a company asking question. There is, well, a person, a manager, a colleague, or something. I used to be on the stand of, if you don't tell me what is going on with your life, I'm not gonna be, how to say, understanding with you, right? So let's say I don't know what's going on, and then apparently you are going with some personal things in your life, and then you're performing bad, and we commented out in a retrospective session or something, and then somebody come and say, yeah, but he's going with some shit in his life. Like, well, I do not know that, so I cannot take that into account. So I used to be quite rigid on that. I think now I'm a bit more like, yeah, I can understand that people don't want to share with me, but I think they should be able to say to the whole team, like, hey guys, I don't actually want to share what is going on, but it is something going on. I think at least that people should be able to say to their colleagues. And then how deep is, I think everybody should ask a question and they should be the one saying, sorry, I don't want to answer. And then the person, like in this case you, should be fine if I don't want to share with you.
But it also depends, right? Because sometimes rationale comes later. I just feel like annoyed or like not going well. And then after 2 weeks, I'm like, oh, I actually have an issue. I'm a bit slow on that.
Yeah, definitely. Especially for us who try to hide emotions quite some time.
Exactly.
And so, so Aniek, for example, you went through, a divorce and, all some other kinds of stuff. And I know that you've been simplifying your life a bit in terms of like, wanting to have less possessions, maybe a smaller house, just less crap to worry about. Is that also because you want to have, less stuff to worry about so that you can maintain a more, healthy, happy way of living, having time for your hobbies, having time for your work, having time for your family life?
I think it's actually more related to the understanding that I don't know what I want, I guess. And basically with this whole divorce and raising kids, and it triggered another part of my life that I need to figure out what I want. And a lot of the things that I have and I possess or is more like, I never really thought about it, right? It was more just like, oh yeah, my parents did that, I should do that too. Or my friends did that, I should that too, And then it's just not a conscious choice. And I think now I'm actually thinking about it, and I'd always come back to like, yeah, why do I need this? I actually do not need this. I actually do not want this. And I think a small example was like, I was trying to buy sunglasses, and I was asking advice, and then suddenly this person showed me the sunglass that has like a mirroring, like with like red mirroring. And automatically my brain said like, no, you cannot buy the sunglass because it's ugly. But I found the sunglasses very pretty. And then my automatic was like, what's happening? And then in my brain, I remember this scene where my mom basically said, oh, the sunglasses are horribly ugly, it's just for thieves. She put like so judgment to that, but that was her opinion that was inflicted on me, and I never questioned it until now, And now I have such a hard time trying to actually buy that sunglasses, even though I like it, just because my mom disliked it. So I think it's just that I wanted to figure out what I like it. It's more, I think, that the direction that I was going to take.
All right, because because I do think that simplifying your life, having less stuff to worry about, can definitely have a positive impact in how you handle your work stress and all that kind of stuff. But I guess for you, it was a different motivation then. Okay.
Yeah, that was my motivation. Yeah.
So did you buy the sunglasses or not?
Yes, I actually did.
Show them.
Well, I don't have it here. It's in my car. But the funny thing is, I did it, and it was painful, man. I don't know why. So like it's, and I think that's the part where my personal life is actually helping on my working life, because a lot of the beliefs I had, I just don't take them for granted anymore. I'm actually doubt everything. What is helping me to get total different view on and be a bit more open to other people's ideas and emotions and everything, even to emotions, right? Like a year ago, I don't think we would have this conversation in this fashion.
In a
so
podcast.
Basically, you're
online.
You're trying to find your own. You're trying to find your own identity, right? Usually, people do this when they're like in their puberty and stuff, I think.
Or early, in the midlife crisis.
Maybe maybe we're gonna get one later. I don't know. So Arno, you wanted to share something earlier, I thought?
No, I just hooking in the conversation. But.
He wanted to make fun of me. That's okay.
So, what's with the yoga mat behind you?
Oh, I have an injury and I have to do some exercises.
Okay.
I'm broke, man. I'm broke in the mental model, in the physical one, everywhere. So work is destroying my life.
Ah. Really?
No. So, do you guys have any other story? I have so many as well. I have the feeling.
Yeah.
Stories about how my personal life or vice versa.
Well,
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 I
one,
can
okay. So,
go
all
ahead.
at once? Okay. One example I do have is if there's a lot of stress at work, right? Because I also have 3 kids running around.
Mm-hmm.
And when I come home and I haven't kind of closed it for myself, so I'm walking in, right? And I'm still stressed, and my kids see me, and immediately they take over that stress. They basically
Yeah.
copy it.
Yeah.
That's really shitty.
Yeah, you get
Because
what you
apparently
put in,
then
man.
the kids have been quiet all afternoon, right? And I walk in and kaboom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I know how that feels.
but it rarely happens.
I have a tip for you. I learned a tip for you from my psychologist now about that. So it worked quite well actually. So if you come home very annoyed, like frustrated and everything, the thing that it helps is not to talk about what happened, it's to talk about how you feel. So if you actually talk to your kids and say, I feel very angry, blah, 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 they actually understand that they don't get your
Frustration.
grumpiness, your frustration. But if you just hold it to yourself, they will feel it that. And if you actually talk to your wife about the event, it just actually makes you more frustrated.
Okay.
Yeah, but then I have to explain
I've
to
been
my daughter
trying
what
that.
happened.
Sure, but the other thing, she's not interested to that. She's interested to understand how
Maybe.
you feel. You should try, man.
Yeah, actually,
Takes-
no,
it
I
takes
actually
a
did
lot
that a
of,
few times. I'm confident it works. I agree.
Well,
And
at
do
some
they
point, I
understand
think
you?
I know my wife actually says, "Yeah, again about the work." Right? And not that.
Because you're talking about the work,
Yeah.
not about
Yeah,
how you
exactly.
feel.
Do you guys do that as well? Because I'm right when I'm creating a presentation or proposal, I'm actually also ask my wife, "Hey, can you read this?" At some point, she gets annoyed with this because usually it's 10 o'clock in the night. But
Okay, then
Yeah.
I can
Yeah, then I
understand.
can understand as well.
but still,
Yeah,
do you guys
I-
do the same or?
Nah, like my wife doesn't. I mean, I talk to her about work and like what we're doing and stuff, but like details like that, like showing actual like code or proposals or presentation, it's like, yeah, she's not really interested in that. I don't know how it is for you guys, but at least mine.
Yeah, we
like, yeah, whatever.
I actually do that with my wife. Sometimes, not always,
Yeah.
but if it's a subject where she can relate, then yeah. We talk about work.
I also do that with my ex-wife. No, of course not.
I don't know, man.
No, but,
Maybe you're still friends.
No, but yeah, we still okay. But no, but I do that with the girlfriend I have now. I also do, but she's also in the IT,
Yeah.
so that makes I think different.
Okay.
I don't know. My wife has a healthcare background.
Are you?
So
So what are you recommending that we should do that?
I
or
was just wondering.
just-
That's about it, right? We were talking about this stuff, and I'm just wondering, hey, do other people also do this? So
Yeah. I actually even do her work sometimes.
No,
Oh, really?
wow.
Yeah, I used to do that.
So
Don't tell
basically,
anyone.
We should
Don't
we
tell
should send an
anyone.
invoice to her company.
Yeah, it was a few times I did that, yeah.
Yeah, but then I have a question to you then, because I've been through this to you guys, right? We've been working together, and you met me. I was married, and now I'm divorced, and you've been through the process itself. Did you ever notice that something was going on?
yes.
Yeah, you see that.
No, I also remember, I think I was actually in the background where Arno was sitting. There were other desks back then. We were also talking about the company, right? And the sense of belonging, and that was important. I think we even talked about, what was that show? The biker show,
Sons
That
of
one.
Anarchy.
right? But that, I think that was kind of like, well, it was more this emotional talk, right? The shit is happening, right? So yeah, I noticed. But
But like, does influence the way how you guys talk to me, or
No.
because I didn't feel like you guys actually, at least you guys didn't show that. Oh yeah, he is going through a divorce. Should be hard.
Do you think
No.
it helps if we do differently?
I think so. I think a lot of the arguments or fights we had would have been probably a bit different.
I don't, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna blame you.
Sure,
guys
yeah, that's
now,
okay.
Because so
We're used to that, so let's go.
okay, so what happened on that time was that I remember when I was trying to be vulnerable and open. So that can happen as well. I think that's the negative side. Instead of being understanding and helpful, you guys were actually
Making fun of you, probably.
How to say? Making
Yeah.
fun of me, call me a dick, and how you do that. You know, like and I think that actually backfired.
Yeah.
But were we wrong? No, sorry, man.
Yes, you are. So I think that's the other side of how you're like when your personal life is going not well, and then you try to share and become vulnerable and all those kind of things that we preach. It can also backfire.
Yeah.
Of course.
If the reaction is not, the way it should be, then it's definitely going to be detrimental for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but,
But
in
like,
joking, I
for
think
example,
that's-
I didn't really have an idea that you were having a hard time, right? Because I mean, you usually seems to be very upbeat and like talking about it pretty easily. So I thought, well, this guy doesn't even seem to care that he's getting a divorce, right? So
Yeah.
it was hard for me to read like how much of an impact it actually had for you.
Yeah. So until this podcast, you thought everything went very
Yeah.
smooth.
Wow, not very smooth, but yeah.
Did you Arne and Sylvester thought the
No.
same?
No.
Because you're pretty good at like seeming stable in your emotions, but your story is told differently. Because you cannot go through a divorce and don't care. I don't think that's human, to be honest.
I don't know, man. The marriage can be a rough jungle.
Well,
you know?
yeah, and I mean, in my defense, I didn't really show up to the office that much, right? Like once a week
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
of course, of
yeah.
course. Like it was at different times
Yeah.
as well, and you were in. Yeah.
But you also...
No, but I'm not accusing you.
I
man.
think that you also spoke a lot about it, right? The pool games or something, which ended up being kind of lengthy talks or something. So you were quite open about the stuff that was bothering you, right? It wasn't that you were trying to hide
Yeah,
it or
but like
something.
so no, but the question is like, so you guys sense it, but like the follow-up question is, did it annoy you
No,
to hear those
No.
stories?
No.
no. I actually value that, right? You're being open about, and well, maybe you want to talk about it, maybe you just want to explain. Doesn't really matter.
And does it make you guys want to do the same, like talk about your
That's
problems?
a trick question.
Not always. No, I don't think it happened. That does it for me.
So I don't mind talking about my problems, but it's hard for me to do it in a group setting. Like on one-on-one, it's a lot easier for me. But
Yeah.
in
In a podcast,
a
it's also
podcast,
easier, no?
it's pretty hard for me. So yeah, I don't know why it is like that, but
Well, the podcast I get. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very simple, right? Is there, I guess, probably fear of judgment.
maybe, yeah, it could be it. Or like maybe I don't know. Maybe you don't like. Maybe it's a secret, and you don't want too many people to know. So you only say like, I trust all of you guys, right? But yeah, I don't know if I tell to everyone, right? I mean, maybe it's just yeah. So
Yeah.
these are all reasons why you maybe not share everything. Although, yeah, I mean, for sure, I had this little episode, right, where I said, like, okay, I'm going through some rough times now, and I need to just do my work and not be bothered with random crap on the side. That was when personal life influenced me the most in a negative way. And yeah, I chose to not share that with you guys in like on a detailed level. Also because I made a promise to someone else to keep it secret. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, and
Yeah,
that's
that
not
makes
because, I don't trust you guys or I don't want to talk about it, but yeah, then I just, okay, this is just a situation, and I'm going to deal with it, and the details I'd rather not disclose. Yeah.
Oh, that's fine, right?
Yeah, and I think it makes sense.
Cool. All right, man. Yeah, man, we've been talking about some deep shit right here, man. Damn.
Yeah. I think this is actually the follow-up of the vulnerability episode or something, because
Yeah.
I think
yeah,
we
for sure.
just damage people who have a lot of stories, man.
also true.
Yes.
Maybe. So you guys have any more stories to share, or should we look to wrapping it up?
Yeah, I think of course there is a lot, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the point for me that it takes from this is that it's normal, right? And I think a lot of people are afraid. And I met a few people in their customers where like they are going through hard time and they just feels like I cannot mix work to personal life, and they make a clear split. And I think that's a mistake.
Why?
You are making it because in the end of the day, everybody is people, right? Like we are talking to people, and people are very understanding, as long as and they think they are weak because they are
Yeah. Okay.
sharing their problems. And I think I don't think that's represents the reality, and it's a weird concept, but I think it actually can help you more than actually can create you harm.
Yeah, I don't think it works.
Maybe because I didn't had the other experience.
So that's the
but,
biggest takeaway / tip that you have for the listener. Like, just
Yes.
share. There has to be someone in your organization that you can trust, and it'll make you feel hopefully just a little bit better.
I guess so, yes.
Yeah. And so, one thing, if you flip it around, so there are some people who actually avoid like their home situation and just keep on working. They just don't want to go home because like the home situation sucks.
Kind of
Yep.
like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right, on a Friday. I know.
Maybe,
Yes. And go to a podcast.
yeah, because they might have a fight with their wife or some other horrible situation going on at home. But you guys have not experienced that so far yet, hopefully, where you'd rather work than be at home.
Well, I called it the small stuff,
course.
right? The fights, everything. Yeah, I'm gonna stay half an hour longer.
But I think I have that every week, man. To be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that,
Yeah, but you have it on the practical level, I assume.
Well,
Or shall we organize a counseling for you and your wife? That's okay, yeah? That's also fine.
I think with Arno, it's more that he just doesn't want to be around his kids, right? So I think if we put
Well-
his kids like in an Henrique's place, then Arno is going to be glad to going home.
I'm not buying that. I've seen Arno go about on a Monday, right? And he's a kind of like the super dad thing. We live close by, so that's why I see Arno with his kids.
Okay.
But then he's like super dad with 3 kids on bikes. I'm like, hell, how does he do that? Mine just go everywhere. Like,
well, if one dies, man, it happens. No,
Can just make a new one.
Oh my God.
sorry. Such a bad joke.
Your kid's going to listen to this podcast later on.
Yeah.
It's like, damn,
Who the hell? Nah, I'll tell you an honest story because I told Henrique last week as well, or yesterday. Man, I don't even remember. I think that's actually the hardest part, my Mondays. Because for the people that don't know, I work 4 days, and on Monday usually I'm off. With Corona, it's sometimes a bit different, but that's the day that I have the kids. But I actually experience this the hardest day of the week because my whole body just screams to go to work, and it's not because I don't like my kids. It's not like that.
It's just demanding.
I think I've been raised like that, I think, because my father used to work a lot, like 60, 70 hours, like his whole, I think almost his whole career. And think until I was 16, he went less and invested more time in me, I guess. But he also raised us with a pretty high bar of chasing yourself and expect more of yourself. And that's what I do as well. I expect way more from myself than I can actually achieve. And working 4 days actually makes it pretty painful.
You feel that you're not like optimum efficiency. So
I
to
cannot
say.
keep up, I think compared to you guys, I have a hard time keeping up, which is fine, right? Or at least it's the idea that I have on that.
it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
We
So
accept that.
it's a pretty conscious choice to say, okay, I'm gonna be here for my kids. I think it's also because of my father somehow.
Yeah.
More saying like, I want to do differently. But then my whole youth problems come in there, like, I should work,
Yeah.
So that
Okay.
that's sometimes conflicting.
And what tip or takeaway do you have for the listener then to hopefully balance this out, smooth this out?
Don't take kids. Oh wait. Such a bad joke. I don't have a tip because it's also great, right? I think it's great. The Mondays you actually get really to know your kids. You fight with them. You annoy each other. You like them. You do cool stuff.
Yeah.
So it's also a plus. And apparently you seem like a super dad, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
So
All right.
I think it's
Sylvester, what about you? Do you have a tip or a takeaway for the listener in order to properly balance the work-life situation, or to not let it get to them too much?
Well,
if,
don't balance
one
it.
is out of.
I think that's the whole point. Don't try to balance it. Just let it mix and mingle. I think that's way better, right? You're spending around 80% of your day or something, at least the awake part working. So yeah, I think it's kind of stupid to miss out on that.
Okay.
So you?
And yours?
Yeah, so my tip was what I said in the beginning. I think it's important to have, rules for yourself in terms of when to prioritize work and when to prioritize, time off. So that's why I'm really strict on certain things. Like, I'm just not going to work on Saturdays and Sundays and stuff like that. Because otherwise, the scales are going to be tipped way in the wrong. So I do believe in a good work-life balance where you sometimes say work just isn't important enough for me right now. I have other priorities. So
I'm not saying that, right?
But how do you deal with the learning then? Because, for example, I just, let's say I work 32 hours, but sometimes I just pick up a book in the car or an audiobook in that case. Otherwise, it's dangerous. Or just read something at Saturday night or...
Yeah, but it comes from an intrinsic motivation, right? Like I read a lot less books than you guys. So the books that I do read is not because I feel like I have to for work, but just, I want to know more about that subject. And it's then it becomes like some sort of personal interest. And then I don't really regard that as work,
But then it intermingles a little bit, right? Or
Sure.
Exactly.
But I mean, work is definitely a big part of who I am, and it identifies me, right? Like I also used to program a lot more on the weekends as a hobby, just because I like to program, not because it's my work and I want to get better at it, but just because I like it. And maybe that is what Sylvester also tried to say, like don't try to balance it, because hopefully the work that you're doing is something that you really like. And so I don't know.
Partly, the other part is, right, if you spend more time privately or with your family or whatever, and that helps you become, happier, more productive, whatever. That's the effect for the company, right? You are being more productive. You're not stressed out or on edge or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it's normal. That's what I try to say, but don't balance it.
Okay. Cool. All right. That's it for me, I guess. Thank you guys for being here.
Not as short as we expected, right?
Yeah, I think we spent quite some time. Well, I mean, there's a lot of stories, and I'm pretty sure that you guys still have some more in the backlog that you said, like, oh, damn it, I could have shared this one, but who knows, maybe next time. And for the listener, the poor work-life balance can have serious effects on your mental health. So if you guys really experience some hard times and rough patches, then please don't hesitate to seek out a professional to help you. I think we've all in this room have been to a psychologist at one point in our life, and we're not ashamed to admit it. And it's
quite proud, actually.
It's all part of the journey, I guess, to continuously improve yourself. All right. Thanks a lot, guys, and see you on the next one.
Thank you, Rolf.
Thanks, man.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Cheers.